Happy Friday! Congratulations! Whatever your week held, whether it was positive or negative, it is done. You made it. Congrats! And then it is time for the weekend. And if you didn't have the best week, hopefully this week things will turn around. If you did have a great week, then I'm very happy for you. What we are going to learn today is how to find circumference. And circumference is the distance around usually a curved shape. So normally for the most common problems, you'll be trying to find the circumference of a circle. Okay, so right here I drew a circle with a line through the entire circle and it measures 10 feet. So we now know what circumference is. It's the distance around the circle. So now we need the formula. So the circumference formula is circumference equals pi d. Okay? Now, if you've been following the lessons, you know that when two letters or variables and or numbers are touching, they're adjacent, they're next to each other, that indicates that you're going to be multiplying. So you have to have that knowledge when you're working with circumference formula. The next thing we need to do, so now we know what circumference is, we have our example, and we have the formula. So now we need to take knowledge away from the circle to figure out what we know just by looking at it. So this purple line that goes through the entire circle, you have two options. It's either the radius of the circle or the diameter of the circle. If you have no idea what those words mean, then I suggest watching my prior video, because it explains the difference. But very briefly, the radius is the distance through half of the circle, and then the diameter is the distance through the entire circle. So in this particular problem, since it's a full straight line through, this is our diameter. So I always like to write everything out just to make sure that I'm aware. So diameter in this problem is 10 feet, and we know that because they gave it to us, and hopefully we have prior knowledge that that's the diameter, okay? The next part of what we have to do, this is where things can vary a little bit. Pi is a button on your calculator, so if you have the option, you can either use the pi button on your calculator, or most problems indicate they'll give you directions that will say use the pi button, or usually what's commonly used is 3.14, because pi is an infinite number, which means it continues forever. And when the problem indicates or the directions indicate to use 3.14, that's a terminating decimal. So it makes working with the problem a little bit more easier. So for this sake, let's just say that the directions say, and I'll put it over here, use 3.14 for pi, okay? Like I said, 3.14 is a terminating decimal, so it makes it a little bit cleaner. So let's get into this. We are looking for the circumference, so obviously we're not going to substitute or plug in a value there, since that's the variable, the unknown that we're looking for. So I always like to rewrite my formulas. So C equals pi d. We had just said that C is the variable, the unknown that we're looking for, so we are going to simply just bring that down, okay? We are also going to be consistent, and we are going to drop the equal sign because we need this to be an equation, and without an equal sign, it cannot be an equation. Now, pi. You need to go back to your directions. So for this particular problem, the directions say use 3.14 for pi. So you are simply going to plug that in or substitute that in. So now we have 3.14. Just a reminder, when they are touching, that indicates multiplication. You can use a dot, you can use an asterisk, or you can use parentheses. So now we are going to substitute or plug in the diameter. Luckily, we already indicated and pulled out our very important information, which is that this problem gave us, as the reader, the information that the diameter is 10. And that's another reason I write it, because when some learners are visual, it helps to have that key information already spelled out or written out for you. So now we know diameter is 10, so now I'm going to plug in 10. So now this is a very level 1 question, because now you're just simply going to multiply. So So in your calculator, you are going to do 3.14 times 10, okay? So now C equals 31.4, and remember, we're working with math. We want to be specific. We want to have the exact measurements. So this is feet. So the circumference of this circle, congratulations, is 31.4 feet, okay? So you now know that circumference is the distance around a circle. You know now that the radius is the distance through half the circle. You also know that diameter is the distance through the entire circle. And you also now know the formula. I just would like to show you one small little trick that has helped me since I've been in 7th grade. And it's just a way that helps me to remember the formulas. So when you're working with circles, you can find circumference, which we just did, or you can learn how to find area, okay? So for this one, I just want to show you something. Let's break this off real quick because this is separate, okay, but related. So the circumference formula, C equals pi d, and then I just want to show you the formula to find the area of a circle is A equals pi r squared. If anybody out there is wondering what is this crazy lady doing, I shall show you. Let me move this over because I did not realize. Okay, so when working with a circle, the directions can say find the circumference, or they can say find the area. So we just did a circumference problem. If you would like to see an area problem, please let me know. But this is how I remember this. Cherry, pie, delicious. Is that correct grammar? Not quite, but like I said, this is just a little trick or a tool to help you. So cherry, pie, delicious helps you remember that formula. And the reason I'm also bringing the area into this is because they go hand in hand like ketchup and mustard. Unless you don't like ketchup and mustard, then you'll have to figure out one of your own. So cherry pie, delicious. Apple pies are too. So whether you are not the best at math or whether you have a bad memory or whatever have you, it doesn't matter. It always makes it fun, and it's little tips and tricks and tools to get you there. So once again, in case you black out or you're stressed or you're taking a test and you forget, just kind of remember that little mantra. Cherry pie, delicious. Apple pies are too. Okay? Congratulations and happy Friday. I hope everybody has a wonderful weekend.